All right, let's have. Who all here is a cracker?
Me.
Spare the rod and spoil the child. Is that politically incorrect or what? Ever since Doctor Spock regurgitated his first ideas on child rearing, American children have been on a steady decline into Mad Max. We went from little boys and girls using separate doors to enter school to transgender bathrooms. Right is left, left is right, and sideways is straight ahead. Even Amish girls are wearing their hair just a little too wild these days. The fact of the matter is, children are born with a programmable brain. What you put in that database during the formative years becomes truth. The reason teenagers seem to rebel is the updates you try to download, then conflicts with the beta operating system you installed shortly after opening the box. That original software can either come from you or some liberal trans angry school teacher, or worse yet, peers who themselves have faulty software. We have supposedly risen above the good old number 5 butt whooping. What good does that do? What good does violence do, you may ask? Well, it assures that for at least the time being, the said child will not try to flush the cat down the toilet again. I remember when I was 5 and we had this little fat dog named Mabelline, after the Chuck Berry song. Yeah, I just dated myself, I know. I was in love with Tuesday Weld and Tinkerbell too, so just get over it. Anyway, one day, heading down that long hallway that ran down the center of the shotgun shack that me, my parents, and my grandmother lived in, going to the bathroom, I just couldn't hold it any longer and subsequently peed upon Grandma's 1940 thin-ass wallpaper. I'd no sooner zipped up and granny around to the corner. I was caught. But she eyed the stain on the paper and the baseboard, and then Mabelline, laying right beside it. She grabbed her up by her little pigtail and thrashed her within an inch of her life, rubbing her nose in the stain, and pitched her right out the back door into the yard. Now, in the Jack Benny world, this is highly entertaining. The next day, I peed a little higher. Mama beat the yelps out of that dog, and you know the kind. Wham, bam, bam, and the dog goes roof, 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 as it desperately tries to form words. I was amazed that the old woman could pitch that bitch twice as far as she did the day before. Now, if you buy into the theory of deviant personalities revealing themselves at a very young age by enjoying the mistreatment of small animals, at 5 years old, I was well on my way to being a first-class serial killer. Day 3 was the day I decided to go ahead and end Mabelline's life. I peed on the sacred wallpaper, well over my head, and settled back for the grand finale. Mama entered the Coliseum. She examined the watermark on the wall and the dog. Now, I must give my grandmother credit. Picking Mabelline up, she did her level best to match that dog with the evidence on the wall. And she set her down and went into the backyard, returning with a will-o-switch. I sat back and waited for the show, and Mabelline did that dog submission thing, laying on her side with her tongue lolling out, accepting her death. I didn't at first feel the pain. Your brain does that, when the pain is so bad that your nerves don't have the bandwidth to transmit it, and it kind of truncates somewhere between the source, your legs beneath your shorts, and your neuroreceptors in your frontal cortex. This, however, will not stop the auto-response of the mouth. Somewhere in the distance, I heard a child crying. I slowly began to realize that child was me, and it was closely akin to woof, woof, woof. Let me explain the construction of a 1950s grandma-induced Louisiana leg switching. Now, you're going to take the traditional 40 lashes minus 1, that's given. Complete with the obligatory lecture with each word emphasizing each swing of the switch. Don't you ever piss on my wallpaper again. Yeah, they do it by syllables. All the while you're being held aloft by your left arm. You try to satisfy her by screaming, I won't, Grandma, but all that gets is, I know you won't. You learn real quick not to give the old woman anything else to talk about. At that point, she must draw blood. When she breaks skin, that's the indicator that she's gotten through to you. Frankly, at this point, I was expecting to have my nose be rubbed in the wallpaper and get pitched out the back door. But Mamaw just stalked off with the switch and made tea, and I laid on the floor doing that sucking sob that kids do when they're trying to cry breathe. Mabelline just licked her private parts. Does this method work, you ask? Well, if what I had done right before that whipping was to drink water, I would have never drank water again. And I might add, I was 5. I am now 67. So I can honestly say that I haven't peed on any wallpaper for at least 62 years. Maybe Mamaw should have taken that switch to Doctor Spock.
Get your phone out of my face.